Here's a weird thought for you. Every single person your team or yourself cold emails that is the wrong person for your offer, the wrong company, the wrong ICP, is reducing the likelihood of that same maybe great email being received by the right person, the perfect person with intent maybe. And the reason for that is simple. Every time you send an irrelevant message to someone, aka a message to the wrong person at the wrong company, you're increasing the likelihood of them marking you as spam, telling you to F off, maybe even wishing death upon your family. You never really know these days. And all of those complaints are reducing the likelihood of your good messages to the right people, the relevant outreach, being received by the person you want it to be received by and turning it into revenue. I'm Mitchell. I run Leadgrow, and we focus on information arbitrage on behalf of our B2B clients in order to generate relevant, valuable, highly contextual messages at scale. And over the course of this year, 2025, it's helped us generate them upwards of $3 million in revenue. Today, I'm going to walk you through the advanced data collection and validation strategies we use, how we create highly effective Claygen prompts at scale, and how we use the principles of chain of thought, few-shot prompting, and Boolean search in order to make sure we hit the right person at the right time from the right company, and actually making sure they actually still work at that company. Because as you'll find out, as you dig into cold outreach, or as you already know, data providers are getting more and more stale, and the data they provide is often people that aren't even still working at the company in the first place. And the reason I showed this at the start of the video is because this is a market that is incredibly small, but we've been able to get results in for actually 14 months. This is around the time we pivoted away from Smart Lead and Instantly to the absolute best sequencer, Email Bison. And we find new and novel ways to target this market. I believe it's a sample size of only around 3,000 accounts maximum. And we're able to generate results over and over again because we don't spend any time sending to the wrong people. And actually, this market is building towards some pretty exciting stuff, this client. So without further ado, let's dive in a little bit more. So if you're familiar with Clay, you're probably familiar with Claygen. Claygen, if you don't know, is basically your Google search on steroids. It's a crawler powered by AI. But the problem with a crawler powered by AI is that when you give it a bigger AI, you're basically telling it to, you're telling like GPT-5 to click a button. You're telling GPT-5 to go ahead and like scroll. You're telling GPT-5 to basically do stuff that is just way too ridiculously easy. So let's go to Tactually.com. And let's pretend we're Claygen. Claygen's scanning to search Google. It's finding a website. It's doing a task for you. Now, most of the time when people prompt Claygen, they tell it to do a thing, find a thing, right? Some nugget of information. And then they tell it to return that nugget of information in a particular format, or potentially even say return true, false, qualified, unqualified, so on and so forth. So a really good example is, a lot of people like to know if something's a SaaS, right? And so oftentimes they'll go and say, Claygen, go to the website, and if you find this, this, and that, as you navigate through the website and you find where they keep their pricing and so on and so forth, you're going to be able to make a determination of either qualified or unqualified. Problem. Most of the time, you're sending a really stupid agent, because if you send a smart agent, you're going to spend 10 cents to find this out, right? You're going to spend 2 cents per account to find this out, which just isn't sustainable at scale. And you'll even notice that it's also not the most accurate. So what do? That's what I'm going to explain in this video to make sure that you guys contact the right people with the relevant message and are highly successful. So the first principle we need to focus on is actually focusing more on where and less on what. So this comes down to the way you prompt. And I'm going to give you an entire guide that we've been using to handle our prompt engineering. It's more of a how-to than a what to do, and how to do something is definitely going to be more helpful to you than what, because it's going to give you a foundational skill set. And prompting is absolutely foundational to go-to-market engineering at this stage and building competent top of funnel, middle of funnel across the board. So what do I mean by more on where, less on what? If you know where information is, you have knowledge arbitrage. And if you know where information is, you can direct the Clayagent to that information. For example, if I just want a business owner's email, I will say site, this is Boolean, okay? Site bbb.org, and I will say company name, something like this. I don't know, HVAC LLC, okay? And it's going to tell me the company. I'm going to go grab that. And then I say, Clayagent, you have an address, okay? And you need to make sure the address matches the company on that page. Boom, it's Canada HVAC in Lake St. Louis, okay? And Clayagent, on that page, you're going to see a business details section. Under that business details section, you should be able to see a principal contact as well as a social media page. Please grab those and return them and nothing else. Awesome. And then we go to the social media page from that return thing, and Bob's your uncle. We've got Matt at We Clean Coils, and Bob's your uncle. The owner's name is Matt, right? So if we just said, Clayagent, I really need a customer email, and I got this website of a company and this company name, go out into the void of Google. Clayagent's just going to do this. Canada's going to go Canada HVAC, and it's going to do something like owner. Lathe Azoo. And in this case, we were lucky and Better Business Bureau did show up, which makes my point look dumb. But the point is that this is giving Clayagent a decision, which means Clayagent could go down this path. It could go down to CBC. It could end up going to HVAC Designers of Canada on HVAC DC. It could go to this link. It could go to any one of these links and basically go down a rabbit hole of inaccuracy because you're asking a stupid model to make decisions on where to click. But you don't want to get a smart model to make decisions on where to click. So the core concept I want you to take away here is that if you can tell it where, you're going to be in a much better position to find the information that you want from Clayagent accurately. And you'll notice how I say find the information. We do not want silly, unintelligent models making decisions on information. We do not want it to go to Tactually and do a true or false output on whether or not this is a SaaS. Instead, a much better formula is to do something like this. So we have our info crawler here. And our info crawler is grabbing, oh my gosh, Clay raises a damn Series C and they're the slowest company in the world now. So we have this info crawler here, and this info crawler is grabbing as much information as possible about a company under specific queries. So you can see here, Boolean search, site, company domain, services or solutions or products, SaaS or software or platform or API or dashboard, pricing, plan, subscription, about, And it's indexing these queries, crawling 4 to 5 layers deep and grabbing the information without making a decision on what that information entails. The result is that we get a lot of good quality data, okay? And look, company description. Regal is an AI agent platform designed to transform customer communications for enterprises. Blah, 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 blah. We even get email, phone number. We're getting beautiful, beautiful information, right? And then we say, hey, smart AI, tell me what you think of this, right? Here's a classification framework for you to validate this company to the utmost degree, okay? And so this puts us in a much better position to succeed in our validation. We want to identify if these companies are competitors to our client. And by simply using a smarter AI to take action on the information, we improved our ability to execute on this task and validate this information by like 4-fold. We messed around with prompts on Clayagent for ages trying to get it to accurately identify all the edge cases, but it won't be able to. And the reason is because you can't few shot prompt Clayagent itself, because Clayagent is going to find different information and take action on its reasoning every time if you're telling it to find information and execute on it. If you just grab the information and you keep the information that you pull stable, you can accommodate edge cases more effectively. An edge case is when the AI runs into a new scenario that is not covered in its examples or covered in the kind of parameters set out for it. So this is why it's very important to focus on where and less on what, and focus on getting information rather than reasoning through it. Your goal with every AI agent is to make sure it does one thing extremely well. And that one thing could be for a writing agent to grab information, and then the second agent decides on the value proposition to pitch based on the current state of the company and the job title that we're talking to. And maybe it generates a initial idea, summary of what to say, okay? It identifies maybe the case study we should use, right? And then we have another AI, right, in the loop that says, here's the kind of hook for this message. Here's the hook. Here's the opening line. Here's the subject line that's going to be built around this. And then finally, we build out the final pieces under some sort of framework template. Not a template. Much better to use a framework because we want variance out of AI copy. And so the chain of thought occurs, and all of a sudden, AI isn't a black box anymore. Have you ever run into, using a Claygen and you make one change and you don't know if it's made it more effective or not, or if it's made it worse? The beauty of segmenting things out is, one, information collection Claygens become universal for any use case, and it's the reasoning that is actually the value, right? The reasoning agent becomes the custom, bespoke thing that addresses the points of concern within your campaign, okay? And so that reasoning agent, and we're going to end off kind of this point here, that reasoning agent becomes a much more accurate and powerful model that gives you better outputs, better answers, and higher quality copy, research, etc., to make sure you send the right thing to the right person, because that's what this game is all about. So we want to focus on where. How do we find where? Well, deep research is a thing. And deep research will tell you where, okay? Because Claygen's not powerful enough. But if you have any Perplexity, OpenAI, Claude, whatever, Gemini deep research, tell it what you want. Tell deep research to go buck wild across 10 accounts, and then look at where it finds the information. And in fact, look at where Claygen finds information when you're entering new markets. Yesterday, we looked at where Claygen was going to find certain information, and we found out that it was going to this kind of duped SEC website, consistently called like Whale Index or something like that. And it had the most golden nugget information ever. And it had it consistently across the market. And so now we have this big, beautiful data source like bbb.org where we can just direct it and say, cite, right? Cite, only go to this website to find this information for me. Please and thank you, right? So that's how you focus on where. Let's talk about some other kind of use cases here, just to hammer home the kind of value of this, and then where Claygen falls short, because it can't collect all information. And if you find certain information vital, you're going to want to use something like a Spider or the X API. So let's move on to funding. So if you want to find funding, where do you go, right? You might use a Claygen, you might say, hey, go find out if blank raised a Series A. Problem. Lots of companies have the same name, right? A lot of companies have a lot of similar characteristics. And therefore, by doing a search like this, you're opening up Claygen to make way too many mistakes, man. So what's better? Site, cluely.com, funding or fundraise. Wow, how could Claygen make a mistake off of this, right? It's just polling Google, right? So increase the likelihood of it doing the right thing, okay? I really want case studies to take action on, right? Like I really just want to know if they have a case study. Site, tactually.com, case studies or case study or results. You just get an ocean, a swath. And actually I used the site parameter wrong here. So let's fix that. And you just get swaths of accurate information that you can use. What if you wanted the most recent case study only? Or what if you wanted to only have validate that they were funded in the last 90 days, 180 days, or whatever? You can set date ranges. You can say before date, after date, and you can make sure that you're only referencing their most recent case study. Maybe you want to partner with companies, and therefore the most recent case study is the most likely company that you could pitch upselling with your service, white labeled or something, right? And so when you get more sophisticated in your understanding of these foundational systems to how AI works, how AI thinks, how Clagent works, how searches work, you can find any information you want, and you basically become a master over the go-to-market domain, because go-to-market is simply information arbitrage. You are someone that knows something that the other person does not know enough about. You are someone that has something that the other person does not have, or maybe kind of knows they need, and you need to bridge the gap of that kinda towards a close, right? So, or at least enough curiosity to hop on a call, right? All right, those are all the heuristics that I wanted to get across to you guys today. This is going to be linked below in the description. Pick it up, check it out, try it. Feed this into a GPT project, a Claude project, and what have you. Follow the instructions on basically what to say and how to use it, and you'll have a fantastic prompt builder that will actually, if you ask, help you diagnose issues with your prompts to make sure that they're highly effective. You can ask if it should be a few shot prompt or a chain of thought prompt, and it'll help you build out a system alongside you. But please read the instructions yourself and understand prompting from the bottom up so you know what a good prompt looks like, and really just treat AI as an assistant. You are guiding the rocket, okay? You are setting the trajectory. If you mess up the trajectory, you're going to have this powerful, powerful thing plummet down into the earth and explode like a rocket. So yeah, if you would like to have a conversation about your go-to-market for your business and figuring out top of funnel at scale, book a call below and we can chat about it.